This is problem number 12 from the Chapter 2 closure problems, and these are all 3 diamond problems, and they all 3 have fractions. So for this first one, we know that we have to do 2/3 times a number. We don't know what number, to get 1/6. So I'm going to call this number out here x. So I'm going to say 2/3 times x equals 1/6. So since this is times here, we need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So divide both sides by 2/3. So we're going to have 1/6 divided by 2/3. Well, when we have to divide fractions, we actually have to multiply by the reciprocal, which means we're going to keep the first the same. Instead of dividing, multiply. And the reason that we're changing it to multiply is because we're actually going to flip this fraction. So instead of 2/3, we're going to have 3/2. And when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. So 1 times 3 is 3. 6 times 2 is 12. We know that this reduces, so if we divide them both by 3, because they both have 3 in common, we will get 1/4. So we can put 1/4 to the side here. And now we have to add both of these together. So we are going to say 2/3 plus 1/4 equals what? Well, in order to add fractions, we have to have the same denominator, and we don't. So 3 and 4 can both be multiplied, and both of them will somehow equal 12. So we're going to say, what can we multiply this 3 by to get 12? 4. So multiply the bottom by 4, multiply the top by 4. That's going to give us 8/12. Since our bottom is 12 here, we want this to be 12 also. So we're going to multiply this one by 3 and our top by 3. So 1 times 3, 3 over 4 times 3 is going to give us that 12. Now we have common denominators. So all we have to do when we have common denominators is add the tops. So 8 plus 3 gives us 11, and the bottom stays the same. So the bottom of this is 11/12. Okay, that was A. So moving on to part B. This time we have a side and the bottom. So we know 3/4 plus a number gives us 1/8. And just like above, I'm going to say 3/4 plus x, because we don't know what that is, equals 1/8. So how can we get x by itself? We need to subtract 3/4 from both sides. So we need to do 1/8 minus 3/4. And just like adding, in order to subtract, we need to have common denominators. So we can keep this 1/8 because we can get that 4 to be an 8 very easily. We can just multiply it by 2. Since we multiplied the bottom by 2, we have to multiply the top by 2. So the 1/8 is going to stay the same, still minus. Instead of 3/4, we're going to have 6/8. And just like adding again, we subtract the top. So -1 minus 6 gives us -5, and the bottom is going to stay the same. So we have -5/8 is going to go on the side. And in order to get the top, we multiply our two sides together. So we're going to say 3/4 times -5/8. With multiplying, just like before, we multiply straight across. So 3 times -5 gives us -15. 4 times 8 is 32. This cannot reduce anymore, so this is our final answer for the top. -15/32. And last part on 12 is part C. So part C is kind of like the top again. We have the multiplying on top, and we have one of the sides. So we need to find this number, so let's say x again. times 3 equals 3 over 7. So let's divide by 3 on both sides. So our new problem is 3 over 7 divided by 3. And instead of just 3, since we have this as a fraction, I'm going to make this a fraction by saying 3 over 1. So 3 and 3 over 1 are the exact same thing. Like in part A, we multiplied, we changed this to multiplication, so we kept 3 over 7, changed the division to multiplication, and flipped this fraction. So instead of 3 over 1, we're saying 1 over 3. And again, in multiplication, we multiply straight across. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 7 times 3 is 21. And this can reduce. They both have a 3 in common. So if we divide the top by 3, divide bottom by 3, we get 1 over 7. This is going to be our side, 1 over 7. And now we have to add these two to get the bottom. So 1 over 7 plus, and just like up here how instead of saying 3, I did 3 over 1, I'm going to do plus 3 over 1 down here. And since we don't have common denominators, we need to find those. So we can pretty easily make this a 7. We just need to multiply it by 7. Multiply the top by 7. So we're going to have 1/7, which is staying the same, plus 3 times 7 is 21 over 7. And add straight across. So 1 plus 21 is 22. Denominator stays the same. So we have 22 over 7, or if you would like to make that a mixed number, it's also 3 and 1/7.